Omaha North will be facing another North Side team. They'll be playing the Millard North Mustangs, and they've had more than their fair share of championship games. Hay fever has always been associated with hay, but hay fever isn't caused by hay and doesn't exhibit symptoms of fever. Since grasses shed their pollens into the air about the same time hay is cut, the common term hay fever is used. The purse was strange and unexplainable, and some say it's of the ghost that roams the halls.
It almost starts around Christmas time, which you wouldn't think of pumpkins at Christmas, but that's about when we order our seed for the next year.
Tim Valla, owner of Valla's Pumpkin Patch here in Omaha, harvests around 55 acres of pumpkins each year. And with the summer drought, could this affect our spooky fall holiday?
I would say it's an okay year. I don't know if we, sometimes you don't know till you have a frost and you'll see what you have. And there's a couple areas that, was kind of on the edge of our field that didn't get the irrigation that we know, and because it was so dry, anything that we didn't irrigate really was kind of a crop failure.
This summer's dry conditions hurt many other crops, but it won't stop our Halloween jack-o'-lanterns.
Actually, pumpkins do better in dry weather than wet weather. So in some ways, we would much rather have it too dry than too wet. Over the last 28 years, Valla's has been producing plenty of pumpkins for the Omaha area. Though a summer drought may affect other summer crops, it will not affect our Halloween season.
We work with a lot of irrigation. We're spending like 24 hours on each zone, pretty much every day.
Where we got irrigation, we're pretty average, I would say. The nice thing with pumpkins is that they pollinate or they put flowers on over a long period of time.
Valla sells around 200 and 250 tons of pumpkins each year.
And but I would say we probably have an 80–90% crop. I mean, it looks like a pretty decent crop, so we're pretty happy with it.
The Piccolo surname has become a symbol of Italian-American small business in Omaha.
It's just in my blood.
But there's something about the Piccolo businesses that make them so special.
I don't know what you did to my son, she said, but I had to drive all the way from West Omaha just to bring him down here to Piccolo.
Though some of the Piccolo businesses today don't think they are related, all their ancestors are linked to a small community named Carlentini on the island of Sicily.
My grandfather bought it in 1922. And it was a saloon. He decided to make it into a grocery store, and my father was 17 and he needed a job, so he hired him to run his grocery store.
Tony Piccolo Sr. turned the business into a restaurant, and today it's managed by its third generation.
Coming to work, I love coming to work because it's like I come home every day, and it's like a family more than a company.
Sam Piccolo, brother of Tony Piccolo Sr., opened his bar in 1967.
So I took my license and moved down here. It belonged to my brother.
But not everything was always so easy.
I needed money. I owed a lot of money, and I opened this place up and I paid everybody off.
Besides money, there's one thing Sam enjoys most about the bar business.
Some of the customers, some have been good, some have been bad.
A few miles away is Piccolo's Heating and Cooling, and they're all about being a family business.
My grandmother and my father actually helped him get started. And I worked for my brother all the way up until about 8 years ago, and then I took over the business.
Some Omaha Piccolos have even started their businesses across the country.
And I do have an older brother that started as a painter in California.
And it's even more than just a business.
Everybody enjoys himself, and we all consider, even my men that are out in the field and other ones we've had in the office here, we're all very close.
Fred Piccolo, father of Mike Piccolo, still runs his barbershop in Little Italy.
It's a comfortable business. I mean, I made a decent living. I'm not going to get rich.
A few times, Fred thought about moving his barbershop into the building next door.
I would mention that to some of my customers, and they'd say, Fred, no, this shop's got so much character, so much tradition.
As the years roll on, Fred doesn't see closing his barbershop anytime soon.
If you quit, let's say I just closed the door, and then maybe 3 months later, I want to come back. You just can't open the barbershop and expect these guys that have been customers for a long time and very loyal are going to come right back.
In 1981, Frank Piccolo opened up Piccolo's Florist with a major advantage over his competitors.
I was able to capture all the customers from the place that moved to California.
And from the beginning, everything was running great.
Quite honestly, from day one, we were getting calls. We had businesses. We had plenty to do every day, so we just grew it from there.
He also encourages everyone wanting to open up a small business to pay special attention to one aspect.
I think like any small business, in hindsight, reevaluate your financing.
But even for a longtime florist, there is always a plus in owning a flower shop.
It's just the kind of business that makes people happy.
Even though most of Piccolo's businesses don't think they share any kind of relationship today, all their ancestors came from Carlentini in the early 1900s. Today, Carlentini's population is 17,000. Just imagine what it was in 1901. For the Omaha News, I'm Anthony Pontiero. This year's hay fever is said to be one of the worst in decades.
I had people coming in here with their eyes swollen shut, couldn't sleep at night, they were so itchy.
And many people say it's just another side effect of the drought.
In the middle of summer, it was really pretty good. The grass pollen was nice and low. And for some reason this fall, the weed pollen is once again through the roof. It probably has something to do with the drought.
Hay fever has always been associated with hay, but hay fever isn't caused by hay and doesn't exhibit symptoms of fever. Since grasses shed their pollens into the air about the same time hay is cut, the common term hay fever is used.
Hay fever is more of a term that the general public uses. It's really, allergies or allergic rhinitis is what we would call it.
This fall, hay fever will affect 1 in 4 Americans. But what is it this year that makes it so different?
The allergens we're seeing this year are actually due to weed pollen and mold rather than the typical hay fever ragweed symptoms. And the reason is because there was no rain. The rain usually washes the pollen off of the plants, but since there's been no rain, the wind takes it and it's just driving people crazy.
And even worse, it's coming home with you.
And with people's lawns dying, they don't realize there actually mold is growing in the lawns and it's actually tracking in on your shoes and becoming an indoor allergen too.
With such a large pollen and mold count, all we can do is stock up on over-the-counter drugs like Allegra, Zyrtec, Claritin, or Benadryl. For the Omaha News, I'm Anthony Pontiero.